So this is my Land Rover Discovery 3. It's a pre-production unit, crossover kind of prototype, one of the very first ones to leave the factory. Today I'm going to be installing an Android Auto head unit into the car, which is not going to quite replace the current system that's in there. The system that's in there is a very nice system. It's a Harman Kardon amplified system, about 14, 16 speakers, goodness knows what, but it's missing a lot of the basic features. And frankly, I'm getting tired of using my phone as the navigation in the car. It does have a built-in navigation unit, but where I am located, which is the Canary Islands, doesn't appear to be any maps for it. So it's always showing as I'm floating in the middle of the ocean on the factory GPS. So I'm going to be fitting in a Android Auto head unit, which will piggyback off of the current audio system that's in there, and the screen will be placed in place of the factory sat-nav. So join me on this journey of working out what cables go where, how to mount everything, and how to maintain the car. So if you do have a Land Rover Discovery 3 or you're thinking about buying one, they came in two options. One of them had the factory sat-nav system up here, and some of them just had a very large storage cupboard. Now, you'll have to excuse the dust. We do a lot of off-roading and it does get in everywhere. But just to show you what the system does and what it actually looks like, I'll just start up the car for a second. So you can see the system will come on, beautiful little Land Rover logo. And from the factory, there are multiple different options which can be unlocked or not locked on the system. Now the default one is just to have a navigation system. And as you can see on my unit here, it's kind of really locked down. The maps don't really show where I am at all. Kind of leaves me floating in the middle of the ocean a little bit. Which is a little bit annoying. The second thing which is possible on here is something called 4x4 info. Now, this being an off-road car, I get to see a lot of information on here. To the right-hand side is information about the air suspension, what the current tire positions are for every single tire on the car, what the current mode is. So right now I'm in access mode, which means that I've lowered the car down. And then on the left-hand side, you see information regarding what gear you are in. So this is an automatic, and if I put it into D for drive, it will change into D over here, and also which terrain response mode I am in. So right now I've changed into grass, gravel, and snow, and once I go into a terrain response mode, it will show me what the two diff lockers, the central diff lock and the rear diff lock, if it's fitted, what they are doing. It will also very nicely show me as well the steering angle. So as I turn my steering wheel, you can see that I can very, very clearly see which way my wheels are pointing, which is extremely handy for when you're navigating over rocks, etc. And you need to make sure that you know which way your wheels are pointing. So if I go back and I put the car in park again, this is how the system is as standard. I do use it daily because I always put the car up and down, and as I said, we regularly do off-road. But my plan is to fit the new Android Auto display right on top of, or in place of, that system there. So once it's fitted, it will end up sitting just about here, which will then give me a full Android-based navigation system. I will end up losing the 4x4 info, and that's something that I really want. I don't care about the factory navigation. So I'm going to try and fabricate a mount that will allow me to position the screen up here for when I'm off-road, or when I'm just kind of navigating around town, then I can position it down here. So it's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing. I will have a 3D printer arriving soon. It won't be my first 3D printer, but I currently don't have one. So yeah, then I will be able to 3D print a movable mount, which will allow me to position this When I'm going off-road, then I have very big clear maps, and when I'm on-road, then it will be placed down here. So that's the plan. Now you may be wondering, well, what about the head unit itself? That was just the display, and if you checked out the other video, I said that one of the reasons why I ordered this head unit is because I could ask for a 1 meter extension cable, which is quite long. So the position of this unit so far, my thoughts are, if we just zoom out a little bit more, if we look across to the upper glove box here, so there's a lot of space in here. Now I don't really use it for much, so my plan is to mount the head unit in here somehow, and then just keep the rest of the space in there for various tools, etc. The bottom glove box I do use for documents and emergency materials, high-vis jackets, etc. But this upper one here is not used that often. So that's the current plan. Mount the head unit in the upper glove box up here, route this cable through behind the dashboard, bring it out probably at the upper part over here, somehow just bring it in between the nav screen and the dashboard, and that way then I have the screen here that I can move around as I wish. I'm not going to install anything permanently right now because the situation may change. I may decide that I don't want to position it there. I may want to put it somewhere else, for example, just above the gear lever, etc. And the audio from the head unit will be going into the factory aux. So it will be going in to the factory head unit, which will allow me then to put the audio out across all of the great speakers in the car, have my large navigation, my large music player selection, and hopefully, if everything goes well, this will be one step closer to being able to navigate off-road really simply. So I'm going to get started. So before I go absolutely crazy, it's important to work out what cables I need and where I'm going to take them from or put them to. So I know that I need a permanent 12 volt, and there is a permanent 12 volt, I believe, going into the stereo here. I will need a ignition 12 volt, which is 12 volts that comes on only when the key, only when the car is on. And I know that I can get that from the cigarette socket, which is located just a bit below there. So I have 2 cigarette sockets here. So I will take from probably this one on the right hand side. Likewise, I will also need a power feed for illumination. Now that comes on, it's a circuit in the car. It comes on when your lights are on, and it basically usually just kind of like lights up the green background on various buttons, or red depending what car you have. But for the head unit it will be good because then it will switch it from day mode to night mode, and in night mode it will dim the screen so it doesn't blind you while you're driving at night. A lot of people forget to fit that one, thinking it's not that important, but I actually believe it's one of probably the more important ones to fit, other than all of your other accessory ones, because if you're driving at night with a super bright screen staring at you, it causes you to fatigue a lot faster. And if you do driving at night for even a short amount of time, having everything dimmed really eases the pain on the eyes, helps you concentrate and focus a little bit more on the road, and you're less likely to have an accident because the bright stuff is outside and you get to spot an oncoming car or an animal or whatever it may be faster than if you have bright things inside and bright things outside. So before I disconnect the battery, which I'm going to do as I'm wiring things up, I just want to test the power points. So I haven't done this yet, so you're along for the ride, but a lot of people have mentioned just grabbing from the sides here, and okay, that one came out easier, and there we go. So I guess then that was significantly easier than I thought. So this part here just has multiple clips. My metal clips are still on here, which is brilliant, which means then that I don't need to go back and kind of redo them. So this unit here can now just sit down there on the floor. And I see now that I have lots of Torx bits. I will get the size of these. But yeah, this is essentially now where the journey is all going to start. I did mention before that I have a Bluetooth unit. It's kind of hidden behind here. I will be removing this as part of this stereo installation. And in fact, I think I just found the cable for it. So let's see if we can just pull this off somehow. There we go. So this here is the Bluetooth unit. So I am going to be removing this since the head unit has Bluetooth in there. I won't be needing it, but there should be some additional wires then that I can use. So let me undo all of these screws, and we'll come back and see what we have behind. So these screws are T25, and using my handy iFixit kit, I'll just start to unscrew them all. And just to save the headache, I'm going to put the screws into the cup holder, since I shouldn't really be removing anything down there. One other thing that I did forget to mention is that is not a T25. I will also need a reverse or backup light, backup feed. Wow, some of these are T25 and some are not. So it definitely seems like somebody's done this before and kind of mixed up some of the screws. So I will need a backup or reverse feed. Now, usually people just take it from the reverse lights and they kind of hook it up to the system. But this car actually has a button for triggering the parking sensors. So what I'm planning to do, my parking sensors aren't currently working, but I do have replacement parts arriving, is I will try and take a power feed from that button somehow, and then I can work out exactly, you know, then I can connect that up to the stereo. That way I can trigger the reverse cameras without having to actually put the car in reverse. Over time I will be adding in a full 360-degree camera unit, which will then give me full view around the whole car, and that will help significantly while off-roading, because then I can really see what is out and about. So this is the upper switch panel here. Doesn't look like I can really get into it too easily, but let's leave that up there for now. Let's take out the big bad boy. Quite a heavy unit, and I can actually see that someone's already done some kind of really messy cabling at the back here. Let's zoom in. So if you have a look at the back here, you can see that there is some electrical tape, there's some heat shrink on some random cables, etc. There's an inline fuse which has been added in, taped in fact, and there's various little power cables going backwards and forwards everywhere. So I'm actually thinking that maybe a lot of the stuff is already wired up, and it's been wired up for the Bluetooth kit, which is a bit annoying, but nonetheless, let's unplug this upper unit here, if we don't turn on the hazards by accident. Okay, so let's see how far out the cables will come. Ah, goodness. Yeah, this has been really beautifully butchered in here. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. It's a bit disappointing, but yeah. Okay. Cables are extremely tight. Extremely tight, goodness me. Which is a little bit less than ideal. So give me a second. I need to go and get my paperwork just to see what cables are meant to go where, and try and work out how they've actually installed this unit here, the Bluetooth unit, and then I got to chase back the cables of it and try and see where I can actually take my feeds from. So I simply went online and I was looking for the wiring diagrams for a LR3 in left-hand drive. This is a left-hand drive. I believe it may even be the first left-hand drive that left the Land Rover factory. And I simply just got the wiring diagrams for me to be able to see, for example, you know, I can take the dimming circuit from here, the accessory, the battery, etc. from all of these. What I am going to do though is just quickly try and remove the navigation screen, because there should be some extra cables around the back there, and if the mess of this current system is a little bit too much to my liking, then I may just piggyback off the back of the navigation screen. So here's the navigation screen. This is one of the most important cables, the MOST network. And I have a blue one going in, which I believe is for the GPS. No, sorry, this is the one that goes back to the nav screen. Here's a great power connector. Oh. So that one there can be used for a lot of the power stuff that I need. But for right now, I just want to try and get out the sat-nav system so then I can diagnose and see what they've done. So that's just simply how everything connects on the back. We have the MOST network, the GVIF over there, and then the core one here. These are all video inputs, so they can all accept various different video inputs, from a reversing camera to a TV module, etc. I don't have any of those fitted, but yeah, this is the navigation unit. There is a chance this navigation unit was fitted after the car left the factory. Again, this car has quite an interesting history. A lot of stuff though I haven't yet confirmed or validated. So I see on the left hand side behind here is the looks like the main control box for the Bluetooth module. So I'm just going to unscrew that from the back here. There we go, just two random screws. Oh, it's actually a whole speaker unit. Wow, okay. So that isn't something that I was expecting. This is a Nokia HFS 12 speaker unit. So quite old. It looks like it wasn't designed to be mounted there, and they literally had it just kind of hiding behind the dash, just blasting its audio somewhere random. It's a little bit of a weird install, that one. I'm going to quickly unplug everything from the back of the head unit just to move it out of the way, give you guys a little bit of a better view. So we'll unplug the orange MOST network, the first connector, which is where we will be piggybacking into, the main main power connector, and then this antenna connector. And now everything is unplugged from here. It's interesting, it's got a big bright orange sticker on the back. No idea what that's for. It does have a standard Land Rover part number, but it was in 2004 in March that this was done and approved, or it was manufactured, so just before these went into full production. I'll also put that down there. So now we can see a little bit clearer in here. These orange cables are for the MOST network, This is what transmits all of the audio and video stuff digitally. here's a beautiful sticker. These things I really love seeing in the car. I got to cut away a bit of this electrical tape. I don't want to remove the sticker. But let's see if we can see that clearly. It says engineering and then some black on top of it. I think that says engineering sample. So this car was built as a prototype or a pre-production for them to test out different configurations, for them to test out various things before they put them into mass production. And so the car is filled with these kind of stickers of engineering sample, handwritten part numbers sometimes, which are quite interesting. You know, when you just see like a whole panel or something that looks like it was handmade inside with like pre-production, do not use, do not send, etc. Yeah, so it looks like removing some of this probably 15-year-old tape here, which is always a joy because the stuff is disgusting and sticky. So we have, they have indeed tapped into the positive and the negative into the radio unit here. So this here, I'm going to chase this back around now. And I can see there's a cable tie holding some stuff in. Let me take you guys off the tripod. So, just to show you a little bit of what I can see now. What do we have? We have this here. So this is the main plug. And they have simply piggybacked off of the positive and negative, gone up and around in there. I'm just about to chop the cable tie that you can see there. And try and do this without cutting anything wrong. There we go. So, oh, goodness me. It goes deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. Okay, so it seems now that this actually goes, can we see in through here? No. Don't think we can see that far in, but it goes, I believe, behind this glove box. So we're going to have to take the glove box out now. Give me a second, I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll come back. That took a lot longer than expected. It ended up being quite a spaghetti behind there. So if I show you, essentially the cables were running down through here, coming out through here, going across, and then some of the cables were coming through that little gap there. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Going down and around, coming up here around this vent pipe there, going back, and then it's really going to get super dark in here now. Ending up behind this plastic unit. And what was actually behind there was this guy here. And as you can see, he was glued on. And I really didn't want to have to take apart the whole bloody dashboard just to get this guy out. And also I didn't want to leave it in there. I'm not a fan of leaving random electronics around because, you know, what ends up happening is that you start to get battery drain and stuff and you wonder what it is, and it's because you got some shitty little box like that which has malfunctioned after 20 years. So I've taken apart quite a bit of the dash, which is really annoying now. So I'm gonna have to go through and put it all back together. So once I've done that, then we can get back to what we were doing, and maybe I'll have a quick drink. All right, I lost track of time, how long it's been since we were last here, but managed to put the majority of the dash back together. Luckily I didn't have to go removing everything, and I managed to get my hand around the back and really tug hard on that blue control box for the Bluetooth unit. So now I'm back in the driver's seat, and looking at the cables of what they're using and what they've done, I can see that they're taking the illumination from the cigarette lighter, as I originally planned to do. But the positive and negative, the permanent light feeds, although this one might be accessory, I'll have to double check that. The positive and negative are very thin wires. So what I'm actually going to end up doing is kind of rewiring these myself and putting in some new thicker wires. I'm not too happy about this. Yeah, let's get my voltmeter out, which is in the back of the car, and let's check what these wires are. So switch my voltmeter over to volts. Let's put into, let's take this black tape off here. The positive is fused, which is a good thing, but I'm still worried about the, I mean, I guess it's not going to be that powerful, but I would have rather used a thicker cable. I always like to go over rather than under. So I've exposed some of the negative one here, and you guys can't actually see. So let me angle, come on, there we go. Let's bring this guy down right there. That should be a nice angle for you to see what I'm up to. So I'm going to throw my voltmeter up here, and hopefully then you can see that in the background. So I'm simply going to go on the car is off, on the negative there, and the positive here. And interestingly, I've got some millivolts, but not quite what I expected, to be honest. I was kind of expecting that to be a permanent 12 volts. Let me see if I can remove more of this tape and get in somewhere a little bit better. Nope, that is correct. That is 12 volts. Now on the Land Rover Discovery, oh sorry, it's less than 12 volts. On the Land Rover Discovery 3, it does have a system whereby the car goes to sleep. So I just unlocked the car now. And let's see if that has made any difference to this 12 volt. No, it's still coming through at 145 millivolts, which is extremely odd. So why would they then take this? Let's give the car power. So, got to close the door. Let's try now when the car has accessory. Sorry, that's not quite accessory. There we go. So even with accessory power, it doesn't seem to really be carrying any voltage across there. That is extremely interesting. Let's remove this fuel holder in case the, not fuel, fuse. Let's jam the positive in there. There we go. Okay, so it was the fuse. The fuse is blown. So here we can see now I'm getting 10 point something. That's extremely low. The car is a little bit upset that I've unplugged some stuff, etc. But that there is 12 volts. So let's turn the car off. Okay, key is out. And we do still have 10 to 12-ish volts, which means that this is a permanent live. Now, if we come down to the orange one that they had coming out, let's just strip back a bit of this cable. Okay, let's go into the, going to be a bit interesting, go into the negative up there, and let's touch the positive down there. Yep, this one is also random millivolts. And now if we put the key in and switch the ignition on, then this one here should be 12 volts. And there we go. So that one there is getting 12 volts. So what they've done is they've taken the ignition lead from the cigarette lighter. Now I also want to take the light. When the headlights are on, I want to take that feed as well. So I'm going to quickly unplug this cigarette lighter area, find the additional lead, and then I can tap into that. But what I will do is I will remake these taps here. This negative one is a little bit too thin for my liking. The positive one is reasonable, so I could just put a spade connector on there and hook it up to my system. But yeah, let's check where we can get a signal for the lights. Actually, instead of checking down there, might as well look through our documentation here. So this here is the documentation, and I can actually see that on the audio head unit there's the switches which go to the steering wheel module. That is something I'm going to want to tap into. And then as well there's one for a dimming circuit, which is the light control switch. So I think that I would rather take from there. That way then I can run the 2 cables for the steering as well as a third one for that. And that's it. So I might as well just go ahead and do that. So what's left in here? I'm just going to remake this negative cable. I'll put a spade connector on this positive one. The dimming one will be, if we look at our drawing here, the dimming one is RN, 0.5 diameter. RN, I can't remember what RN, SR is stripe red, SB is stripe blue. So let's follow through the wires that they have on here. Red and orange, that's red, that's red. There is actually a chance that the wires in here are going to be slightly different from the official documentation. Now, again, this car is a pre-production and there's a lot of random stickers in here saying, you know, engineering sample, etc. So, yeah, I might just check in here and see which one of these guys is giving out 12 volts with the lights on, and then we can take it from there. So to do that, we're going to simply... let's make a permanent earth. Okay, so I'm just going to simply wrap the this extended earth onto my voltmeter. Get my voltmeter out, set it to volts, put it up here so I can see it clearly. Oops, try not to lose all of my documents. So in here it does say very clearly on there, this is the dimming circuit, which is RN. That's usually the color code. Now R is red, N, I don't know what N is. So I'm looking for a cable which is red and something, and that will give me access to the dimming circuit. So right now the car is off. And what I want to do is switch the car to accessory, and now come in here and check. So that one there is 12 volts. And if I turn the lights off, that went to 0. So I have now found my circuit, which is for the lights. As you can see, when we've got the lights on right now, it goes up to 12 volts. Lights off, it goes way down to 0. So this one here is my lighting circuit. So I'm going to tap into this cable right here for my lights. And if we try and investigate a little bit, that one is red and looks like a line of brown going through it. So the core is red and a brown stripe. So yeah, first try, that was pretty handy. I do hope that I don't flatten my battery out here. It is a possibility. So yeah, wish me luck. So I don't usually like doing this because it can get quite messy. And there are definitely better things that you can use to tap into cables, but I'm living on an island and it's not so easy to get everything you want here. There we go, so I just exposed about 1 centimeter of the cable there, and then I can use that to tap into. It's time for a vape break. If I can remember where I put my... Alright, and then up here for the steering wheel controls is silver red and silver black. Yeah, which I assume will also be here. I don't see a silver red and a silver black. Or maybe I do. There's some kind of weird color there. So in order to test that one, what we need to do is come in again with our things. Let's switch this on to ohms, as in resistance ohms, not as in meditation. And we're going to put the two things into those two cables. Right now it's reading 30.5 kilo ohms, and if I press a button it should change. So now it's 4.58, and then if I press forward, 0.58, 0.27, and then up to 2.4. And if I press mode, then that also picks something up. So that's my steering wheel controls. I have a resistive ladder, and if we just turn this to the side there, you can see, let's try and get both of them in. There you go. So right now it's reading 30.6 ohms, and if I simply press volume down, it goes down and jumps around actually to 0.3, comes back to 30 kilo ohms. Forward is 3 kilo ohms, back to 30, track back is 2 kilo ohms, back to 30, and mode is 1.3 kilo ohms. Let's check again volume up. Volume up is about 4.5, 4.6 kilo ohms. Volume down, I'm assuming, is 3 point something. Yeah. Now that's interesting. Volume down is 0.33 kilo ohms, so 333 ohms. So it's a resistive ladder system. Every time you press a button, it just changes the resistance. So now I found these two cables. I will prepare to tap into them as well. I am going to keep them hooked up to the original stereo so I can navigate forwards and backwards, but I will be using them in the system as well. So instead of boring you with all this, I'm just going to rush through stripping a couple of bits on here, and then we can do that. Okay, so now I have three cables tapped into. I have my steering wheel controls, I have my illumination, I have my power positive, I have my ground, and via this orange cable here I have the ignition one. So I'm going to go through now. I'm going to extend all of these cables, bring them out in the glove box all the way up there. Once that's done, then I just need to look at wiring in the audio side of things, which will be done via this connector here. I am a little bit disappointed in how it's so far been very kind of ghetto done. I don't know what they did underneath here. I don't know why they've done this insanity on here, but I will be hacking this off, and I will be doing this myself. So I'll probably have to recheck which ones are for what, and then hook that in as well. So I've got some of the cables ready, and basically all I'm going to be doing now is I have my handy mini smart, what's it called? Soldering iron. This one's great because I can power it from anywhere. It just takes 12 volts. I actually have it hooked up to my USB Type-C power bank. And this is a special USB Type-C PD cable, which basically then just takes the USB-C and gives me a standard barrel jack, which then allows me to come through and connect anything up. Now, it has started to rain outside, but that's okay. So I'm just going to simply desolder everything that's on there, and then I'm going to start to solder in the new ones. Now, I've got this set to 335 degrees, which should be enough to melt the old solder off. There we go, it's starting to come off now. And I have to pull quite hard to this cable that's actually on there. It looks like it's quite some old solder, so I'm just going to cut this now and then just simply wire in the new cable. I don't have a proper soldering station, so all I've got now is just a brass sponge in a coffee cup, which is just out of frame down here. And this is where I'm leaving my soldering iron for now. I've simply cut 2 sets of wires, the power ones, and then the steering wheel control ones as well here. And then I'll take a second set of power cables and run that for all of the accessories. But yep, it's starting to rain. Luckily, I can kind of hide a bit in here. So yeah, I'll just get on and get this done. So now we have 2 more. We have the ignition cable, the ignition cable. And then we also have the illumination. Now, it's a bit interesting because I don't really, I mean, these are very thick cables. These are 1.5mm diameter. Don't know what that is in American, but I think I'm just going to take another power cable and run that up as well. It will just kind of give me the clearest way of doing things. But in order to understand which cable is which, I will mark them. I prefer to use green tape whenever I'm working on something somebody else has already worked on. So by putting some green tape at the bottom here, I can now differentiate between which one is the power circuit, the one that doesn't have any green tape, and which one is the lights and the accessory power circuit. So I'll just do that here, strip into these cables, and basically repeat the same process again. Now then, one of the last pieces of the puzzle is the audio input. Now I'm going to be taking an output from the head unit via 2 RCA connectors, which are over here just out of frame, and I will be hooking into the original aux connection. Now there are some additional cables here that looks like they were put in for the telephone, and unfortunately I could only find a really bad shitty quality RCA connection up there. So all I've done is I've connected them up. The white one will be the right channel and the red one will be the left channel. It's opposite to what is normally done, but it doesn't really matter in this instance. And then the 2 grounds on the connector are hooked up together. So I could actually show here, I found a lot of documents which show the pin outs on the connector there that I'm hooking into, as well as what they are for. Now this is extremely pixelated, but it says that pin 1, 2 not used, pin 3 is phone positive, 4 is not used, 5 is phone negative, 6 is for the aux screen. It's not the same as the aux negative or aux ground, but I'm using it as well. 7 and 8 are right and left, and then everything else is not used except for number 12, which is the audio ground. So that's how I have things hooked up here. I did switch the car on just because I'm worried about losing battery power. So yeah, not the highest quality cable. Limited, you know, possibilities living on an island like this, and ordering on Amazon would take about a month, but that's okay. The cable is extremely short, and I don't really need it to you know, be the highest possible quality. You know, we're not going to be playing, we're not going to be having a live orchestra in here, so I don't think it matters too much that that this isn't, you know, the highest quality cable in the world. And you know, if it does bother me, I can always come back and replace this, you know, at another time. Next time I take a trip down to the mainland, I can always get a better quality cable, something which would be more suitable for this. But I'm not worried too much. It should work perfectly fine, and it will be much better than the non-functioning aux socket which I did have previously in the car. The aux socket was really not working. There was a lot of hiss and background noise and grounding issues, so this should technically be a lot better than what was there before. Now, in terms of all the power cables, I simply wrapped them up in green. I wrapped each cable separately, then I just put them together as a bundle. I like to mark my things in green. That way in the future, if I ever come back, you know, I can see which things I have actually done versus which things somebody else may have done, and it just kind of simplifies the process just a little bit. There's nothing more confusing than coming back in the future and being like, shit, did I really do that mess? Or, you know, is this chaos because of me, or is this chaos because of something else? So I'm just going to wrap these cables up now. And then I think we may be ready to start doing the wiring on the car stereo side. And then once that's done, hopefully we can just quickly plug everything in. And once it's all plugged in, we can do our first test. And fingers crossed, we should be getting some audio coming through on here. Okay, so I think all the wiring is done. We have the main harness tapping in for power, etc. We have the harness where we're tapping in for audio. All of the cables are routed through to the glove box there. I've hooked them up to the correct wiring harness for the stereo. Here's going to be the audio input, and the cable for the display is also routed through the dashboard. So this is how things stand right now. I'm going to quickly put everything back together, plug everything in, and hopefully see if the unit does come on. If it does, then that is a major step forward. Then all that's left is to tighten everything up, tidy everything up, and then we can see how to progress. So I'm going to get on and do that. All right, everything is hooked up. It's just temporarily connected. Just got to make sure that everything is working properly. Got to test the audio. So foot on the brake. I'm going to turn the car on for this. Okay. So the screen came on. It's upside down. But that's okay, actually. It's just me putting it incorrectly right now. So that's the display. Oops, it's not held in yet. Judas. All right, let's put, whoa. I'm gonna need to be careful with this. I don't want to break this display. So it's connected up. Now, let's try some music. That's the key thing of this. Everything else for this is fine. Let's go to, I'll have to mute it for YouTube, but let's see. Audio does work, and in order to prove that, we need to find something then that we can play, and the best thing to do would be for me to go to the YouTube channel and just play something from my own collection. So let's go to YouTube Studio. Ah, goodness. No, where's your channel? So I only have one public video on here. This is an old video. By the time you watch this, this won't be there. Leveling. I've forgotten the name of it now. Okay, so that works. Let's go back into YouTube and just search for royalty free. Where is the thing? There we go. Royalty free music, non-copyright music. All right, I think we have success. And I'm just going to go around the car now and check the individual speakers. Let's put this there. That seems quite secure. So, all right, that's working. That's definitely working. So now let's try and reprogram the steering wheel keys. We do actually need to check a couple of other things. If I put my lights on, does the screen get dimmer? Yes. So as you saw there, as soon as I put my lights on, it got dimmer and now it's brighter. So that is wired up correctly. The dimming and brightening is working correctly. That's perfect. What else did we want to try? Let's go and check our steering wheel controls. Let's go to settings, device, no, general. Let's see what else there is. Steering wheel setting. There we go. So now I actually have I can do things with the steering wheels. I'm going to leave them hooked up to the main head unit because then I can use volume on the main head unit rather than having to do it on the stereo here. But what I am going to hook up is the next and back buttons. So let's get that Actually seems like I can't turn volume down from the steering wheel. So I may have disrupted that cable going into the head unit. That's not an issue. I can always turn down from here if I need to. Yeah, so let's configure some buttons. This one right now I am pressing track forward, and we will set that to that. Then we will press track back, and I will set that to that one there. For some reason that picked up the same thing. I don't know if that did pick up the same thing or not. No, it does look different. I did just notice something. I think that the power for my navigation screen is a little bit wonky, but I'll have to check that out. And I do have a warning for an airbag. So I don't know what I did wrong, but I will have to check that out. And that's it. Those are the only two buttons that I really want to program. In fact, I'm going to set track back as my voice assistant, and that's it. And everything else I'm going to leave it exactly as it is, and that's fine. So I'm going to clean the rest of this up. I'm going to wire through the antennas, and that's it, I guess. When we're done with everything, with the full install, I'll come back and give you guys the overview, and we'll do a recap of what we have accomplished. All right, I think the batteries on everything is kind of dying off now. The head unit is in. I've reconnected everything. All I've done is simply used it was a 90-degree bracket like this, designed for shelves or something. These ones are slightly flexible, so all I did was bend one to that degree. This attached to the back of this display, and this simply slid in above the navigation. So technically I can pull it out a bit, and I'll take some shots from the side for you all to see. But as I said, I will probably be building a 3D printed mount designed specifically for the Discovery 3. It's not quite central. That's okay. I can resolve that with the mounting stuff. But yeah, if we get the car key from somewhere where I've now seemed to have lost it. There we go. And we put that in, and we turn the key. Okay, the display has come on. Everything seems to be working fine. Even my airbag light has gone off, which is pretty good. It's a little bit wobbly, but as I said, I will resolve that over time, and it probably won't be any worse than just kind of using my phone as a navigation. So yeah, even if we come in right now and open up, we can open up Google Maps. I have wired in the GPS unit, and in order to see that correctly, yep, Google Maps is working, everything is fine there. I use Gaia GPS for when I'm off-road and when I'm on tracks, so that's the best thing here. Now I believe that, yeah, I can quickly see up here the GPS coordinates, etc. I can see the number of satellites that it's picking up, so it seems perfectly fine. It's found 9 satellites in view. The GPS unit is just above the dashboard there. I haven't put in the microphone, I haven't put in the 4G antennas, I haven't done any of those additional stuff, but right now then, for me, this is perfect so far. It works brilliantly, and when I do go off-road, if I really do need to see my off-road information, so far I can just quickly pull the display out, and I have my 4x4 info there. So maybe I'll work out another way to have this temporarily mounted, but for now it's just kind of a little bit forced in there. like so. You can even come back and move it to the side there. Yeah, that's it. Discovery 3, Android Auto system, Android head unit. We'll be coming through with quite a few more examples and videos of this. It does work. Audio now works, and for those of you who are interested, the audio is connected directly to the head unit, to RCA outputs from the head unit into the original factory head unit, and I've just switched on to aux on here. Now, I don't know why the Wi-Fi is a little bit tired. Possibly it's not picking up. Yeah, Wi-Fi is not quite connected right now, but that's okay. I can set up a 4G hotspot on my phone until the SIM card arrives and I do the rest of the install. That's it. Great. I hope you enjoyed this. It was very long. I don't even know what time it is right now. Yeah, it's been about 4 hours, start to finish. A large amount of time was taken up because I had to cut out the old system, and then just taking my time with doing the wiring correctly and everything just took a little bit longer than normal. But I reckon if I was to do this again, it would only take me less than an hour, probably even less than that. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you want to subscribe for more random tech stuff, or specifically tech stuff to do with off-roading, overlanding, to do with Land Rovers, etc., then feel free to subscribe. But I hope that this video helped you out, despite it being so long.